Hello guys, my topic for advanced topic presentation is gganimate. Gganimate is a library in R. It is used to create beautiful animation plots in R. So what is gganimate? Gganimate extends the grammar of graphics as implemented by ggplot2 to include animation. It is basically built on animation. It does this by providing a range of new grammar classes that can be added to the plot in order to customize how it should change over time. These are some key features of gganimate: transition, view, shadow, enter and exit, and is aesthetic. Transition defines how the data should be spread out and how it relates to itself over time. View defines how the positional scales should change along with the animation. Shadow defines how the data from other points in time should be represented in a given point in time. Uh, Enter and exit defines how new data should appear and how old data should disappear during the course of animation. Is aesthetic defines how the different aesthetics should be ised in or during transitions. So I've used the sales of wine dataset for plotting the static plots and animated plots. I've plotted the static plots using ggplot2 and used gganimate along with ggplot2 for animated plots. This is a scatter plot of the expenses of wine versus the units sold of wine. X-axis represents the expenses and y-axis represents the unit sold, while the color represents the type of wine. As you can see, you can not actually differentiate between the type of wine in this plot. I've built this plot using ggplot2. Uh, uh, I've added some transition states along with the ggplot2. The transition state is an aesthetic of gganimate. Uh, so what basically transition states is transition state allows you to split your data into multiple states based on the levels in your given column. I've used enter fade and exit shrink. So as you can see, when the points appear in the graph, it basically fades in, and when the point exits, it basically shrinks out. So what basically enter fade does? Enter fade will simply set the alpha value to 0, making the elements fade in or out during transition. Exit shrink will set the elements to 0 size, making them gradually shrink out of existence. So, comparing the GG animate graph with the static graph, you can see that you can actually differentiate between the type of wine in this graph and compare them. This is a bar chart which displays the number of units sold, total number of units sold in a particular region. I've used ggplot to build the chart. The color in the chart displays the total number of units sold. Uh, I've added certain transition states along with enter and exit aesthetics. Uh, what enter grow does is it will set the element size to 0, making them gradually grow into existence. I've used shadow mark. Shadow mark lets you show the raw data behind the current time. Uh, uh, it like uh, it lets you show both the past and future values of the raw data, and makes helps you style as you want. This is this graph shows the sales of wine over time. Uh, the y-axis represents the sales of wine, and x-axis represents the units sold. of wine. The color in the graph represents the type of wine. As you can see, the plots in the graph, points in the scatter plot are changing over time. uh, I've used here as transition time aesthetic. uh, uh, it Transition time basically uses the group of each layer to define which row in the input data corresponds to the same graphic element, and therefore defines which element will turn into each other between the time points. uh, the using I've basically built the plot using ggplot and added the transition time of gganimate to uh, identify the data change animation over time. uh, this are the okay These are the references that I've used to build the graphs. Thank you.